Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Garima, and I'm your moderator for this webinar. In the next 30 minutes, our speakers, Montserrat Valdez and Joynil Acharya, will discuss what a smart report is, outline the prerequisites for generating accurate and valid smart reports, explain how these smart reports can be securely delivered to patients and physicians, and explore how LIMS powered smart reporting is transforming diagnostics and improving patient outcomes. Before we dive into today's topic, let me quickly introduce our speakers. Our first speaker today is Montserrat. Montserrat is a senior scientist at cloudlims.com. She is a highly skilled chemical engineer with a diverse background in research and industry. In addition to her work as a chemist, Montserrat has also served as a research engineer, successfully coordinating various environmental projects of great importance. She has also made significant contributions to scientific literature through her research articles and conference presentations. Beyond work, she finds solace in activities that rejuvenate both mind and body. A fitness enthusiast, Montserrat dedicates time to working out, embodying the discipline and resilience she brings to her scientific pursuits. She also finds joy in nurturing her well being through meditation. An avid traveler, she explores the world, often accompanied by her beloved Maltipoo dog who joins her on adventurous hikes. This adds a touch of nature to her routine. Next, we'll have Joynil Acharya, the co-founder and product head of Nirogyan. At Nirogyan, Joynil embodies the potent fusion of innovation and execution. His journey began with computer science engineering from BITS Pilani and MBA from IIM Kolkata, both top Indian institutes, after which 3 years as a data scientist in a startup enhanced his product, technology, and analytics skill sets. Today, along with his wife Shweta, Joynil serves as the driving force behind Nirogyan Solutions, crafting futuristic healthcare solutions that are not only impactful but also financially sustainable, seamlessly bridging the gap between cutting edge solutions and real world applications. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few points so you know how to participate in today's webinar. All attendees will be in mute mode throughout this webinar. This is an interactive webinar, so we encourage you to ask questions anytime during the presentation by clicking the question mark icon at the top right-hand corner of your screen and entering your questions in the box below. The questions will be answered during the Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. We will take as many questions as time permits, but we do want to end today's presentation on time. So if we are unable to answer your questions today, we will get back to you on email. Now let's welcome our first speaker, Montserrat.
So, hello everyone. My name is Montserrat Valdez and I'm a senior scientist at Cloudings. Welcome to our presentation. Today, we are going to be talking about leveraging LIMS for reporting for growth and patient satisfaction. So, let's start by covering what is going to be learned during this presentation. So, we're going to learn what is a smart diagnostic report, what are the requirements for generating an accurate and valid smart report, and how a LIMS can help to fulfill these reports. Also, we are going to learn how can a smart report be delivered securely to physicians and patients. And finally, we are going to understand how a LIMS-powered smart reporting is transforming diagnostics and improving patients' outcomes. So the first question we need to answer is, what is a smart report? A smart diagnostic report uses AI and data analytics to provide clear and detailed view of patients' medical conditions, helping them be more involved in their healthcare. These reports are a step up from traditional reports because they use AI and data analytics from various sources such as medical tests, scans, patient records, and even genetic information. They highlight important findings from all this information, such as spot patterns, offer personalized advice, and help doctors make more accurate diagnoses and treatment plans. We could say that a smart diagnostic report made medical diagnosis more efficient, accurate, and effective by leveraging the AI power and modern technology. So there are several challenges in labs when it comes to reporting. The first one is the data fragmentation. For labs, it's very hard to have all the data in one same spot. Often, all this information is spread among different sources, such as different instruments, software systems, and unstructured data. So this is a major challenge for labs. We also have the manual processes aspect. Like every time we have a manual process, we have a manual entry of data. So this can lead to generation of mistakes and errors. Also, we need to consider the compliance burden. Like all these labs need to comply several regulatory requirements and accreditation standards, which is very time consuming and it will require a lot of effort. Also, we have the aspect of lack of insights. Like often, all these labs, they just have text reports. So it's very difficult to have a graphical representation of all of this data and identify patterns, etc. And finally, there are often some communication barriers, which means that deliver these reports to patients and healthcare sometimes is challenging. So we need to find a way to securely transfer these reports to the patients and the healthcare providers. So there are many requirements for generating accurate and valid smart reports. Between these requirements, we have the following: secure data and user management, complete data traceability, automation of workflows, regular staff training, instrument calibration and maintenance, and finally, compliance with regulatory requirements. How our labs can achieve all of these requirements to generate these reports? Well, I'm going to introduce you to a tool that will help you to comply with all of these requirements. What is this tool? Is having a laboratory information management system in place, a LIMS. Now, in the next slides, I'm going to explain you how a LIMS can help you to meet all these requirements to generate your smart reports. So the first requirement is to have a secure login and digital signature. As we can see here in the left, if we have a LIMS in place, every time our lab staff wants to log in into the system, they have to enter their password and their username. Also, we can add an extra layer of security by having a one-time password. Like this password will be sent to their emails, and then you have a second step to secure your data. Also, we can add in a LIMS a digital signature option. What does it mean? It means like you can set up, like, for example, if you want to perform certain activity in LIMS, you have to enter your digital signature, which means that you need to enter your username, your password, and a valid reason why you are performing that activity. All of these will be recorded in an audit trail. So in this way, you can track at all the time who is accessing all your information. Also, another way to manage all the information in your LIMS and also the activities that can be performed in this is having a role-based access. So by having a LIMS in place, you will have the opportunity to grant or revoke access to several features in the LIMS by having something like this. If we can see in this screen, in the left, we have all the modules and all the features and information available in the LIMS. And in the right, we can see several columns with different roles in the lab. As we can see there, we have several boxes in each column. If we click on these boxes, we will be granting access to these roles. So for example, a manager can have all the boxes marked because they will have access to all the modules and to all the information. And if we look at the column where the technician position is, we will see that they just have access to certain information. So in this case, we are controlling who has access to our information. Another interesting feature when we have a LIMS is that we can anonymize the protected health information of patients. As we can see in this slide, all this information can be masked. And also, only authorized personnel can see all of this mask information. All of this, like every time one of the authorized personnel come to the LIMS and they see all this maze data, once again, it will be recorded in the audit trail. So it's very easy to have historic version of like who is accessing our information. Also, I have seen that often when there is an audit in the labs, auditors ask for a protected health information audit report. So if we have a link that allows to have these audit trails, it's very easy to export this record of activities just by exporting it in an Excel or PDF format, for example. Also, LIMS will allow us to maintain complete traceability in our processes. As we can see here, from the moment we receive the samples, we can generate barcodes, and then we will be able to track these samples throughout all their life cycle in the lab. From the moment it's received, it's stored, like the analytical testing is performed, generation of reports, etc. Also, in here, we can have a chain of custody, which means that every time these samples get transferred from one location to another or from one user to another, we will be able to track it at all the time. So it's very easy to know we will be certain to know where our samples are located at all the times. Also, by having a LIMS in place, we can have instrument and software integration. For example, here we can have an API integration with our instruments, and then we will have all these results files automatically transferred to the LIMS interface. By having this in place, we can make sure that we are not entering data manually, so we will avoid all of these manual mistakes. Also, by having a REST API integration, we can integrate with systems such as EMR or EHR, and then we can transfer all of this data automatically to these systems. And then once again, our systems will be more efficient and we will have much less errors. Another feature of good LIMS is to have the capability of manage staff training and competency. As we can see in here, if by having these LIMS with a training module, here we can have all the different training sessions that our staff need to take. And then just by clicking in each of these training sessions, we can generate some tables such as the one we have below, where we can see who of our personnel has already been trained on certain methods, for example. And then we can also generate these matrices of training, and we can also export them to Excel or PDF. So once again, if we have an audit when they ask us for records of training, we can just come to our LIMS to the training module and generate all of these reports. In terms of equipment, we also can have an instrument calibration and maintenance management in a LIMS. As we can see here, we can place in one same place all of our analytical instruments that we might have in our lab, and then we can have a form for each of these instruments that as the one we have below. Here we can enter as many information as we need. For example, the name of the instrument, the manufacturer, the serial number, etc. But the key point that we can enter in this module is that we can enter the last calibration and maintenance date, as well as the next calibration and maintenance date. For example, we might have one instrument that needs to be calibrated every 4 months. So every time the next calibration is due, we can set up alerts in the system so it will send us an email and it will remind us that we need to calibrate these instruments before the deadline. Then we can allocate resources and we can make sure that we are only operating with an instrument that is well maintained and calibrated. Also, we can attach the certificates of maintenance or calibration as we can see in this window. Now let's talk about regulatory compliance. How LIMS can help us to comply and maintain all this accreditation. So compliance means that labs stick to standardized processes, quality control, and proper documentation, which are key for accurate and meaningful results. LIMS will help us to comply with different types of regulations, such as HIPAA, ISO 15189, CLIA, and 21 CFR Part 11. For example, by having a user authentication, access controls, and audit trails, we can ensure that patient data stays confidential and private so we can comply with HIPAA requirements. Also, for ISO 15189 accreditation, a LIMS can provide us with standardized processes, control of SOPs, and quality management practices that will allow us to comply with these ISO requirements. In terms of the clear compliance, we can have tools for proficiency testing, quality control, and result reporting. So finally, in terms of 21 CFR Part 11 compliance, we will have all the safety measures in our electronic records and digital signatures, etc., that will ensure that we satisfy the requirement of this regulation as well. Now, now let's dive into a smart report. We need to understand better what it is and what are its capabilities. For this, I'm going to proceed to talk to Janelle. He is going to explain us how all of this works.
Hi, thank you so much, Montserrat. So, I've just shared my screen and will take you through a bit of the new things happening in the market of diagnostics. As she pointed out, smart reports. So, today we are going to speak a little bit about how to unlock growth with modern reporting. And Nirogyan, which I represent, is a 5-year-old startup now collaborating with CloudLims. So, what does growth mean in a startup? That if you're a lab or a hospital who has set up their business for a few years now, so the traditional channels of growth, the traditional sales and marketing channels are already set, but we have often seen that there's a saturation or a commoditization of such healthcare providers. So unlocking growth with modern reporting means unlocking the growth that is possible in today's age through digital means or other innovative measures. And how does the lab report come into play here? Before that, a very quick introduction. Garima was kind enough to introduce me at the start of the session. But yeah, I'm the product tech co-founder of Nirogyan. Previously, I was an early stage startup data scientist as well as a computer science engineer and MBA. In our usual work time at Nirogyan, we think about how to make health tracking and insights much more engaging for the end user, how to convey the right information without going too much into the extremes for the patient, how to communicate it well so that a patient who is even probably just high school graduate can understand what the reports and the medical documents say. So these are the tough challenges that we tackle on a day-to-day basis, but which also give us the passion to run this company. In my free time, I'm also an avid sports enthusiast. I listen to a lot of music. I have a young kid now, so raising him is a pleasure in life. And I also have a few animals like Montserrat, so we go on road trips or just walks, and that's most of my non-work life. So yeah, just quickly moving on. So the problem that we have been seeing for quite many years, like more than a decade now, is that because of the internet, because of the data overload that is there, there's a B2B and a B2C problem that has happened. Labs or hospitals in general struggle to make sense of complex data, and the max they can do is a little bit of marketing. That is it. They're not able to make much sense of the data. They are not able to personalize the entire journey of a patient. To some extent, some of the labs and hospitals generally do it, but yeah, it's not a norm in the industry yet. On the other hand, patients, they get a cryptic report, they don't understand it, they forward it on WhatsApp to their friends and family, and they go to Google to get all sorts of nervous, anxious, wrong answers over there. So this is a huge modern problem. No matter how much we improve the instruments or the reagents, what the end patient is making sense of and how will he or she react to it in terms of health is how the entire world will remain healthy or unhealthy. Like this will be a determinant of the global population's health in general. So what I foresee personally, and obviously a lot of other industry experts also, that patient journeys will become increasingly data based in the future, and this will help optimize the health outcomes. A lot of focus is on preventive care, even a lot of curative care where the doctor is firmly focused on you're tracking your results will be much better if the patient journeys become much faster, smoother, and database. So hospitals and laboratories will provide essentially what is called asynchronous care delivery. That even if the patient has gone out of the premises. Like traditionally, if you are sitting in front of a doctor, only then is the majority of the information coming to you. But now, because of the mobile phone, because of the internet, it is possible to deliver care asynchronously as well, and that will involve a lot of APIs, lot of personalized data analysis, lot of smart patient-friendly communication, a lot of visualizations of portals which are extremely easy to use and easy to retrieve when a patient needs it the most in their lives. So these will be some of the changes which are anyway slowly coming up, and there are top quality LIMS like Cloud LIMS also doing half the job. But a lot of communication or the end message to the patient is still in the works, and that is where new tools available in the market which offer very clear, actionable reports while being seamlessly integrated with the daily workflows through the lab IT, health IT, are available now. And Nirogyan brings one such suite of offerings to the table as well. There are reports available, there are patient-facing applications available, and there are end advanced level analytics also available. All of them combined benefit both the patient as well as the healthcare provider. So the rest of my presentation will briefly take you through what are the different types of such advanced products available in the market, so that if tomorrow you feel a need from your users or your management that okay, something like this had to happen, you know what is out there in the world right now to avail. What all of this does is it improves a healthcare business's health. So unlike any other business where you just run Facebook ad campaign or do a lot of on the ground marketing, healthcare does not really work like that, right? It's a slightly slower process where the trust factor is heavy and the scope of error is almost nil. So these kind of products that I'm going to speak about, they help engage the patient. So whoever the patient probably had spent 2 or 5 minutes earlier will now be a lifelong. We will be referring to your content on a regular, on a long-term basis. So that's where the engagement comes. That's where they pay more attention. There are tens and thousands of media out there trying to grab attention, but when it comes to health, they trust you. They're engaged to you. Uh, a result of that obviously is good feedback. So nowadays Google reviews or reviews on other websites also matters. So a lot of times we see that patients or people who are frustrated by one thing in the entire operation probably blast the company there. But if you have sustained good practices and good products available to them, then you'll slowly see the ratings also going on improving. It also has a direct effect on your branding, marketing efforts and teams. Any sort of campaigns they do becomes more innovative, more attractive, more engaging for the target audience. And finally, all this leads to better revenues. Because if I'm earning X amount now, and if somebody just gives me that by doing a small thing, you can double it. So it's kind of similar to that you've set up your entire business, everything was anyways happening well, but because of something small but really valuable that you did, your revenues start growing, and that's always a welcome sign for anybody. So yeah, now starting with a quick summary of the products. I won't go into any of the details. You can obviously do a bit of net search or contact the Cloud LIMS team or contact us directly if you ever need greater information. But the flagship product which is available all across the world now is called Smart Report. Uh, it's through Nirogyan, through a lot of other companies. Some big labs also try to build some part of it in-house. So essentially everybody has felt the need that a health checkup now needs to be decrypted to the patient. It's not just enough to provide 100 biomarkers at an affordable rate. That era has now gone. Now it's the era of information and patient engagement. So these reports are PDF files which look a little bit like the older report, some of the details, but inside the content and the explanation of the biomarkers is completely geared towards the patient, whether it's explained in simple terms or shown through a graph or given as lifestyle tips or provided as a summary. All of it combined constitutes a smart report. And when somebody gets a checkup done, at the end, once they get such kind of a report and they go through it properly, diligently, the level of clarity that they get is far greater than that of an existing report, which was primarily meant for the physician and not the patient. So this is a report which is made for the patient, because they should control their journey. They should be empowered. So these from Nirogyan's point of view, have come up with multiple templates and add-ons over the years. If you contact us anytime, you'll get to know what are the options available so that you can get a custom built smart report for the audience that you want to cater to. The next innovation in this line are patient-facing apps. So these can either be native Android, iOS apps or web apps which open on browser. Nirogyan has gone for the latter. These are essentially, you can say, digital smart reports. So what happens is that it is pretty much like the PDF file that I talked about in terms of the content presentation, but everything becomes mobile friendly. There's no pinch and zoom. It's like the font is big. Even older people or younger people can read it with ease. It's very easily accessible. There are search bars, there are carousels, there are links available, right? And what makes it even more powerful than a smart report is that it can embed other plugins. A lot of them are AI powered. Like you can have an AI powered chat there. You can have an organ level or profile level risk score. You can have a shop section that based on the results of the person, some curated offerings by the provider are provided at the shop section. And there can be an audio button that, instead of reading anything, you just press the audio button and the entire summary comes as an audio to you, or a generative AI video also for that matter. So these are the it appears as a compact tool, but it can pack a punch because of all these plugins that are there. And the beauty of this is that it also supports multiple languages, is super secure through a login, and opens easily on your browser. So there's no additional steps or headache. So this is the slightly advanced version of the smart report which we can see in the market, and where the trends are also going. Then when it comes to aggregated data, for example, if it's a corporate checkup, or if you yourself would want to see your patients in a more aggregated view, then instead of downloading the data on an Excel and getting an analyst or a data scientist to sit on it, do lots of filtering and all that jazz, now there's a gamified health portal where it's as simple as just seeing everything in a single glance. All the slicing and dicing can be done just by the click of a button. That if you want to see the population state, the health status of older men versus younger men in the company, and see the differences, and then come up with that how do I change the diet, or how do I include activities for them. All that is possible through this portal. There are additional plugins also, like an HRA or risk calculators, that can be included, and basically it eliminates the need for a messy post checkup Excel that is there. So this is generally something that we have deployed for corporate projects, but we see that the use case can be enormous even at the government level. If real-time data is getting updated at a population level, then a lot can be gleaned from it, and a lot of steps can be taken. So this is the gamified aggregated data portal.
Hi,
Now
Sudarshan
there are
Kumar.
some AI videos and chatbots that a lot of companies have come up with, and even we have come up with. We do see the need that a conversational and generative AI basically makes it much more palatable for the end user, even more so than a smart report or a PDF file. Obviously, there are restrictions, limitations, and there are checks that we have to put over here. But be it a language, be it just somebody opening it on phone and seeing a 2-minute summary, all of that is possible. A chatbot can simulate a post test or a report based counselor, simple frequently asked questions that are there, that okay, what is my lipid, why is my lipid profile being set abnormal, is this correct, is that correct. So everything which is not trying to become a doctor, but generally just explaining the nitty-gritties of the report and the results. So all that is possible through such kind of AI generated videos and AI powered WhatsApp chatbots as well. And finally, something which is not so much for the patient, but for the lab or the hospital, which is you. So it's the high-end analytics. And analytics where, again, you don't need to be an expert. You just need to log in, and you just need to see what it's telling you, whether it's geared towards your business goals and decision making, and give somebody like us the feedback so that it keeps on improving, it keeps on getting smarter. So what we have seen through years of implementation is that labs are generally curious that how is a specific package performing. Is this package being adopted by the right target group or not? For example, you bring out a male health package and somehow it's getting sold to younger population, which was not the intent. So these kind of things can be caught. There can be general trends which are possible to see that, okay, if is vitamin deficiency something which is affecting my patient population more, then why not I include a vitamin D tests at a lower rate on almost all my packages to keep myself competitive in the market. So these kind of very active decision making can be done through these advanced analytics dashboards, which are reflecting the real-time data that is there. And obviously, there are teams like us also who have been sitting on it, or Cloud LIMS, for years and years of expertise. So we are always available to help you guide through such kind of data. So this completes the loop of all these smart report offerings out there in the world today, which take your reporting, communication to the patient, patient engagement, and your decision making and tweaking of your products to the actual next level, which none of the traditional tools could have done till now. So, how smart have our labs really become? So, in general, the biggest and the smallest of labs across the world we have seen through market research, there are millions of smart reports which have been generated, not just from Nirogan, but anywhere. Even Quest Diagnostics in the West, or you can take some of the biggest labs in India. All of them have smart reports now. It has become a global phenomenon. So it's not a question of uh, when, it's a question of do I want it or not. It's not a question of whether, okay, is this useful or not. So it has become an industry standard now, and there's amazing feedback. Any lab or hospital can keep working on the feedback. Their teams, we have seen their product teams, their marketing teams, all of them have become aligned to these kind of tools. They use it on a regular basis. They have meetings on this. So now the scenario has started changing. The labs and hospitals are becoming smarter, and so are their patients. So what makes it worth trying, especially when such a value-added service is plugged on top of your LIS? So like Montserrat beautifully explained, an LIS can be a gateway to your EHR or even EMR for that matter, right? So in our case, the value-added service is mainly concerned with tight plug-in with the LIS, because everything to do with lab reporting and dispatch of that happens over there. So the entire solution is extremely fast, 10 seconds max for an output. It's secure because it resides within the LIS and follows the same security protocols. Plus, on our front, on the other companies also, we have made it ultra secure. It's cloud based. It's automatic, so nobody has to do anything. If you wish to see the data, you can just log into your portal and see it. But otherwise, the report generation, everything is happen at the back. There's no need for you to do anything. A lot of the markers are covered. Your entirety of pathology, barring a few high-end tests, are covered, and we are also open to covering more as we progress. The content is curated through a triple check process. There are peer-reviewed journals. There are doctors from our side who sit on it. Then there's pathologists and doctors from the client side who also verify it. So it's a completely curated content. And on top of that, what we can promise, our client CloudLibs also promises, is a dedicated client support and training, because this is something that I've seen the industry generally lacks. People are generally, at gung ho about selling something, but after the sales have happened, then what? So we are completely assuring all our providers that there will be dedicated support, and though not much training is required, but yes, in case somebody needs to investigate something, there will be appropriate training also provided to them. So this all in all wraps up this entire concept. I tried to make it brief. There's a lot more to cover over it also, and I think the LIS part has been beautifully covered by Montserrat. So I'll leave it up to her to conclude the presentation. If there's anything else, would be happy to answer any questions that are there. Thank you.
Thank you, Janine, for all this information. It was very helpful. Now we understand our smart reports way better. So coming back to the LIMS part, once a smart report is generated, then what is next? So by having a LIMS, we can also have a patient portal, which means that patients can log in and they can access to the reports themselves. So in this way, we are going to deliver the reports in a secure manner and in also more efficient way. In addition to patient portals, LIMS can also provide us with a physician portal. In the same manner, like all these physicians can receive the reports of their patients, and they can just get them in a very easy way, just by one click, in a securely manner. So to conclude this presentation, we are going to uh, see what we have learned so far. So a smart diagnostic report leverages AI and data analytics to provide more comprehensive information about the health care of our patients, so they are more involved with their own health. Also, successful generation of an accurate smart report requires data integrity and security, workflow automation, compliance with regulatory guidelines, etc. LIMS can fulfill their requirements for generating an accurate and valid smart report. Also, LIMS can be integrated with smart reporting tools, such as the ones that Johnny just explained to us, and then we will be able to generate all of these smart reports in an easy manner. Finally, once a smart report is generated and we have this integration with the smart reports, we can have these LIMS web portals for the clients and for the health providers, where we can make sure that they receive in a secure manner all their reports. Thank you for attending today's webinar, and now we are happy to answer all your questions.
Thank you, Montserrat, and thank you, Joynil, for that insightful presentation. Attendees, we are now going to begin our Q&A session, and we've already received quite a few questions, so let me move straight on to these. The first question we have from the audience is, what are the future trends and developments in lab software, and how do you envision this technology evolving to further enhance patient care outcomes and clinical decision making? Montserrat, would you like to take this one?
Sure. So thank you very much. That's a very interesting question. So actually, we have seen that AI is shaping the future in many fields. So in these labs, this is not the exception. So with the AI advancement, we will see that we will be able to use all these algorithms to create some predictions. For example, we have seen we can detect diseases in early stages as we were not able before. We will be able to also integrate all these reports with, for example, wearable devices, where we can monitor in real time our blood sugar, or pressure, or heart rate, and all of these can be transferred automatically to all these reports to create insights, charts, etc., that we can understand better. And also, we will see an enhanced visualization tools. For example, we will be able to generate 3D charts with all these new tools, and all these charts will be able to be analyzed better, and we will be able to generate better insights, that we will able to get more accurate information. So these are some of the examples how all of these new tools will be able to help the clinical diagnostics labs.
Thanks, Montserrat. Let's now move forward and address the next question from our audience. Joynil, I think this question is coming your way. And the question is, beyond reporting test results, how can smart reports be used to promote preventive healthcare and wellness?
Okay. Yeah, so among the various cases, or different types of user journey, preventative health is the one where smart reports naturally has the maximum impact. And I believe this is true for everybody, whether it's curative, preventive, chronic, doesn't matter. But understanding what is happening with you, especially what is wrong happening with you, and how you can participate towards betterment in that journey, whether with the physician or on your own or with any other therapist. That level of understanding is what Smart Reports brings to the table first. So it's a product which is made specifically for the patient to understand, which is rare because most products that reach the users are just meant for consumption. But thinking or understanding is one part which is something unique. So Smart Report does that. Secondly, it gives some personalized recommendations basis the patient's health history, the results, suggestions of any preventive screening, some lifestyle modification, education resources. So all these are personalized to a individual's needs so that they don't have to go down the rabbit hole of internet searches or, conversations with people who have half-baked knowledge. So I think overall, this complete 360-degree understanding of what is happening with me and what steps can I start taking towards getting better in that.
That is where smart reports plays a crucial role in setting up the base. Naturally, what is done by the patient eventually is up to them, but at least setting up a solid base at the point of their checkup or testing. So yeah, that is the significance.
Great, great. Thanks, Joyneel. Quickly moving to the next question, which is how are scalable LIMS solutions accommodating the growing data needs of large diagnostic labs and supporting smart reports? Montserrat?
That's a good question. So it's important to have a LIMS that have the ability to grow with the labs. When the labs start expanding their operation, it's important to have a LIMS that supports this growth. So if we have a cloud-based solution, so this will be allow the LIMS system to have, like for example, more storage capabilities. You can add more data, more instruments, etc. Also, you have to have a flexible solution. For example, if you need to modify your workflows, a lens should be able to support these modifications. So you need to add an extra step, for example. So all of this has to have the opportunity to customize to the client needs. Also, you need to keep your system updated. So you need to keep looking for new updates, and also you need to get support to understand all these updates in your LEMS. And finally, you need to have a LEMS that has integration capabilities. For example, if you add a new instrument, analytical instrument to your lab operations, you have to make sure that it's compatible with the LIMS interface, that you will be able to add as many instruments that you need to have an efficient operation in your labs.
Thank you, Montserrat, for your thoughts on how LIMS solutions address the data needs of large diagnostic labs. The next question we have received is with the growing amount of medical data available, how can smart analytics derived from lab reports contribute to better patient care? Joyneel, would you want to take this one?
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Garima. I think that's a very pertinent question, and it's somewhat continuing with what Montserrat said vis-a-vis the B2B use case that is there. So I think there's huge amount of data in terms of and what an organization generates on a everyday basis, and nobody is able to figure out how to oil it well, how to bring out the juice of that. So one of our attempts regarding smart analytics is that it identifies the trends and patterns in large data sets in real-time data, which normally a lab would not have been able to do on their own. So things like volume growth, degrowth analysis, population insights, biomarker and profile level observations at data at scale. All of these are possible through this, and what they lead to in the business sense is targeted marketing, much more better personalized marketing. As you know, this is the era where nobody likes spamming. They like very personalized approach from any company. Corporate insurance and government use cases can be covered whenever somebody wants aggregated data analytics on top of their employees or patients. And finally, some sort of risk scoring algorithms can also be developed by physicians as well as healthcare providers themselves to track their patients better without getting on their face. So I think these are some of the very interesting use cases we have seen emerging from a lot of our clients, and we continue to work in this direction of making the growing amount of medical data not just available, what LIMS is doing, but also extremely useful, what we are trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyneel. Clearly, smart analytics can be instrumental in driving and delivering better patient care. And with that, I think this is going to be the last question for today because that is all the time we have. Uh, Montserrat, this is coming your way, and this is the last question for the day. And the question is in what ways does a LIMS enhance quality control and assurance processes within clinical diagnostic laboratories?
Thanks, Harima, for the question. So I think I already covered many of these aspects during the presentation, but for example, by having a LIMS in place, you will be improving the workflow of your lab. So you will avoid all these manual errors. For example, you will be able to track all your samples from the moment are received in the lab to the moment the results are generated. So you will have a traceability in all your processes, and that will improve your QC and QA processes. Also, we have these control charts that I mentioned during the presentation. So by having all these control charts, you can monitor the performance in your lab over a period of time. So you make sure that everything is working as expected. And finally, by having a comprehensive audit trail, you can track all the activities that all your staff performs in the lab.
Great. Thank you, Montserrat. Thank you, Joynil. Well, that was the last question for today. Attendees, I'd like to thank all of you for your attention. Thank you, Montserrat. Thank you, Joynil, for the presentation and for answering all the questions from our audience today. Attendees, as the webinar concludes, we request you to take a couple of minutes to fill out a short survey form that will appear on your screens. It will take just a couple of minutes, I promise. And if you have any questions about the topic of the webinar today, you can always write to us at support@cloudlims.com. Thank you and have a great day ahead.